Married at First Sight, Season 15, Episode 16. This is the final episode before Decision Day. Hooray! It is almost here. So in this episode, they chatted with each other and loved ones one last time about their issues in their marriages. Let's hit these highlights. Stacia is concerned that she can't have a conversation with Nate without triggering his insecurities. So she met with her friend and Nate met with his dad and sister. Now they both talked about Nate's fear of if they don't work out, he'll get kicked to the streets. Now being that he has a job, plus he's Mr. Day Trader and all, like, why can't he get another place if they break up? Like, why does it have to be so dramatic where she's throwing him out of the house with no notice at 3 o'clock on a Sunday morning after the zombie apocalypse? So Nate talked about her wanting to have kids and have fun, that fun is impossible. But his dad reassured him that it is possible. So he was like, oh, okay. Well, that was easy. Stacia, you need to add Nate's dad's number to your favorites so you can put him on speakerphone the next time you need him to back you up. So Stacia tells her friend that she thinks that Nate is not as emotionally developed as she is and that he lacks relationship experience, which is causing her to have to explain a lot to Nate. But they also said that he lived with a girlfriend for 2 years, which sounds like some relationship experience to me. But then again, he never fell in love with her. But that relationship makes Stacia question if they will be in a loveless relationship in 2 or 3 years. I mean, that's a risk you took when you agreed to do this show, though, right? That you might not even like each other, let alone fall in love. But in this case, he has told you multiple times that he's falling in love with you. So later, Nate and Stacia had lunch at a winery, and she asked him how he feels about this whole love thing now that they're like 2 months in. She just can't relax and allow it to happen organically. She's got to pressure this dude to fast forward his emotions. But Nate said that my love for you is growing. I can see myself loving you, falling in love with you, and being in love with you. Boom! Great answer. I mean, if he isn't in love, falling in love is the next best thing, right? But I don't want to force it and it has to come with time. And I'm still not comfortable walking around naked in front of you, not because I'm insecure, but because you're still new to me. Okay, fair enough. He's clear about his emotions and where he needs to get in order to fully commit to the word love. Feeling comfortable naked in front of her doesn't sound like that's something that will take long to accomplish to me. But for Mrs. Hurry Up and Tell Me You Love Me or I'm gonna nag you until you say it, wasn't having it. She thinks that since he's never had that feeling of love, that he may never have it or know it when it comes. Okay, Stacia, but we all begin at that starting point of never knowing what it's like to fall in love. And you just told your friend that he doesn't have much relationship experience, so he hasn't had many opportunities to get that loving feeling. But in any case, he just said the feelings are coming. So this launched them into an argument. She's saying, I want to feel that burning desire from you. I feel like I'm showing it to you. That's not what I'm saying. So what's missing? The love. But of course she's not going to feel the love from him because he doesn't love her yet. So they were talking in circles and Nate got fed up and walked away. To me, I was getting the feeling that Stacia might be used to men like doting all over her and she wanted Nate to behave that way, like he's infatuated by her. So to the confessional cam, Stacia said, he's not listening to me. He just hears a few words, then is triggered. Girl, what are you trying to say? Because to me, it sounds like the only thing he can say is I love you, otherwise it's a fight. So to the confessional cam, Nate said that he feels like he's doing everything he can to prove to her he's committed and showing her love, but she's saying she doesn't feel it from him. So they go inside to talk, and she basically said, all I'm saying is that I want to feel like we're working towards the love. Total backtrack. He just said that he was falling in love with you and can see it happening in the future. Like, that's working towards the love. So Nate says, what's going to happen next when you feel it's not enough? Because at that point, I'm stuck with you. You're stuck with me? Yeah, I'm stuck with you. Then don't be stuck. Exactly. Huh? So you're either going to be stuck or homeless if things don't work out? I don't get it. So in the end, he said he's tired of trying to prove himself to her and he's getting to the point where he doesn't care anymore. Stacia, I don't understand why you want to fight with him over his feelings. He's laying it out for you. Take in that information, process it, smack it up, flip it, rub it down, then do what you need to do on decision day. But don't fight him over his feelings, Mrs. Gotta Control Everything. Fast forward to their last night together. Stacia is complaining to the confessional cam about Nate's temper tantrums, and sometimes she just needs reassurance, and he thinks it's an ask that's far beyond him. The conversation we heard wasn't you asking for reassurances. It was you doubting his feelings and whether or not he was capable. My advice to you, Stacia, hasn't changed. Don't ask questions that you can't handle the answer to. Once they get in bed, Stacia asks, "What do you enjoy about being married to me?" Probably the friendship aspect makes me hopeful, and I like you for you. Nate, why did that take you so long? And it wasn't even that grave an answer. Then they got into another argument because Stacia said that he didn't use the tools the experts told them to use when they get in a fight. So she's talking about when Dr. Pepper told them to hold hands when they are mad, and before he walks away from an argument, tell her he's mad but he's not going anywhere. Girl, I didn't see you reach out for his hand. Were you using the tools? So he's arguing that he came back an hour later, held her hands, and apologized. Where she's arguing the tools are to be used in the heat of the moment, not afterwards. I can't do that because I'm emotional and I'm not going to use tools when I'm mad. Okay, Nate, you were wrong on how to use the tools. They were meant to be activated during the fight, not afterwards. Sorry, but that match point goes to Stacia. I kind of believe that these fights are happening because the reality of going back to the real world, combining households, and living as a real married couple is sinking in and scaring the crap out of both of them. It's a big deal for Nate to give up his place and move into Stacia's, and it's a big deal for Stacia to move him into her place. They have a lot to be nervous about. As usual, Krysten starts almost every episode now by saying that me and Son of a Mitch are in a really good place right now. So as they put avocado facial mask on each other, Son of a Mitch says to the confessional cam, "We're starting to pick up each other's habits and become each other a little bit, and I'm all for it. I love it." Now, I'm not sure how I feel about that statement. In what way is Krysten becoming Son of a Mitch? Then he asked Krysten if she knew what the word body means. BAWDY. It means you're humorous about sex. Okay, the way he's trying to frame it like it means doing a comedy routine while having sex isn't exactly what it means. I looked up the definition and it's basically humorously indecent or like raunchy humor, not humor during sex, Son of a Mitch. Later, Krysten met with her friend and Son of a Mitch met with his brother. As usual, Krysten has written a script of exactly what she wants Son of a Mitch to say to her, but she doesn't want to have to tell him the script. She wants him to already know it and feel compelled to say it to her. So she basically wants him to ask her to stay married to him, list the things he loves about her, and say that I really, really want you to continue living with me because I believe there's something here. Now, I was so distracted by that hickey scarf she has around her neck. Do you think she was trying to cover up hickeys? I do. I think it's a hickey scarf. Anyway, the friend comments that Krysten is waiting for Son of a Mitch to change, then asks if she has enough time to witness the change before decision day. Krysten, you have to accept Son of a Mitch for who he is today. He's 41 years old, marrying the promise of who he can be someday. That ship sailed 20 years ago because now he is who he could be someday. Son of a Mitch talked about Krysten starting to feel comfortable being herself more, and he likes it. But the only thing is that she just started doing this around a couples retreat. So he hasn't had that much time with this version of her. So he likes her without makeup and he likes the real her. He really is kind of smitten by her. Then he talks about how he misses surfing and riding his bike, and he seems to be putting the fault on his marriage and not on the fact that he's taping a television show that has him on a rigorous shooting schedule. But he did say that he thinks they can be happy and make it work, and he said that he does love her, but he's not in love with her. Okay, Son of a Mitch. Okay, we'll take that because that's more than what Nate's willing to say. So his brother said he doesn't think son of a Mitch understands how rare it is to find someone you feel a partnership with. You would think he knows how rare it is, given he's been unsuccessfully on the dating scene for the past 8 years. He did mention that she needs to accept him for where he's at because he's not where she wants him to be, and he can't give her that, which is what I was saying earlier. It sounds like she might be giving him a little laundry list of things she wants him to change about himself. So later they go to a nice restaurant for dinner, and son of a Mitch is eating like it's his first meal after being stranded in the Congo for 30 days. So he said if they say yes on decision day, he would like to slow down a bit and continue as just two people in a relationship. Krysten wasn't happy with that answer because she said she doesn't need an estranged husband and gray or blurred lines. I hear both sides. This experiment is intense. Being taped for 8 weeks straight in and of itself is exhausting, let alone being married at first sight. But at the same time, she doesn't want to undo the work they've done by going backwards. Then son of a Mitch was very honest and said that I'm not in love with you, but I have great affection for you. But on decision day, I can't declare my love for you. I can't give you the strong commitment that you want. So if on decision day, I say it's a yes for me, but I'm not declaring my love and not even saying that I believe we are a great match, is that good enough for you? Hell to the no, is what I thought she would say. But what she really said was, honestly, I think it's a start. I'll take whatever little bit I can get from you. Anything I can get, I will take with grace. Krysten, you've been slipping and sliding on the bits and scraps of decency this man has given you all season. I'm pretty sure you've had exes that have treated you better that you broke up with for lesser reasons. Son of a Mitch is basically saying, yay, and you're just eating it up. Then it was nice to hear son of a Mitch admit that he could have handled himself better in the beginning of their relationship, that it was a disservice to their marriage, and that's the one big regret he has, and he actually apologized. And then he told her that he's afraid to lose her and doesn't want to lose her. So he hit about 3 or 4 bullet points on that script she wrote for him of things she needed him to say. On their final night together, they both express how they have love for each other and appreciate the journey they've been on together. Son of a Mitch sounds like a yes. Not sure that Krysten won't sleep on it and go with a no, though. Alexis and Weeping Willow met with their moms, and Weeping Willow said that he gave Maya away thinking that Alexis was at a yes, and that he would have planned differently if he knew she wasn't sure. That lack of important communication should serve as a red flag to you, sir. He talked about how he gets in his head and can't recognize when he's in his head. And he tells his mom that Alexis wants to be dominated and he's more reserved, so he's afraid that he won't be able to please her. So his mom said, you got to get freaky. All right, mama. So he's like, I am freaky. This whole bedroom scenario has got to be embarrassing for him because they waited all this time to have sex, and Alexis is basically saying, womp, womp. Before they got married, he seemed so super confident about sex, and all he could talk about was his tallywhackle and the line of women waiting to go for a ride on it. So much so that he had to shut it down by going celibate, only to turn around and have Alexis bust him out for not being very dominant, seemingly mediocre at pleasing her, and having bad thrust action. Meanwhile, Alexis complains to her mom about Weeping Willow being in his head a lot, and her not knowing that he's created these scenarios that haven't happened. Therefore, she's not able to combat the false narrative he's manufactured. Yikes, it's almost impossible to have a conversation with someone who wrote an entire script forecasting the future, but hasn't let you at least read the clip notes. She also said that they are struggling a lot within the confines of the experiment where they have a lot of support. So after the experiment is over and they take off their training wheels, like what's gonna happen? So her mom said, marriage is special, and I don't want you to say yes just because you have the reputation of being a runner. Now, I almost forgot about that reputation. She's kind of switched from being a runner to an actress because I don't believe she's the least bit interested in being his wife after this, but she's playing along in the meantime. So later they met for lunch, and Weeping Willow gave her a bouquet of sunflowers because it's her favorite flower. So he talked about how he gets in his head and has had a difficult time getting out of it when he does. So Alexis says it's been a struggle for her to deal with that. I'm just not hearing why she's supposedly at 90% yes, like she said last episode yet. So Weeping Willow told her that he needs to be more desired and would like her to initiate sex sometimes. She turned her lip upside down and backward at the idea, but said, that's something I could do, and then he cut her off. You don't have to do it all the time, but that would help me out. Like, I wanted to hear what her butt was. Like, why'd she turn her nose up at the idea of initiating sex sometimes? Like, what's wrong with that? So in one breath, she said, this isn't best friends at first sight. Then in the next, she said, maybe we would be better off as friends. Weeping Willow, she's friend zoning you. Dude, you are missing all the signs of her not being into you. So their last night together, Alexis is still claiming that she doesn't know what decision she's going to make. I mean, decision day is like 9 hours away at this point. To me, it feels like she's afraid to tell him that she's going to say no, because that's a harder conversation to have. It's just easier to say, I'm not sure. Now, on a side note, I was sent some pictures that might be considered to be a spoiler. So if you don't want to see a spoiler related to these two, then fast forward to the next siren clip. Okay, so these pictures of Alexis were taken by, I think, a club promoter. She was very recently at a club in San Diego, partying like exactly how Weeping Willow asked her not to. I posted these on my Instagram, and it was pretty unanimous that people saw this as Alexis being single. I agree, given that the word on the street is that they are not together, but I just thought I'd give you a little something to chew on. So they all drove around the city in go-karts, but Alexis and Weeping Willow had to have a supersized one because of his height. So afterwards, they sat around in the freezing cold with the sea breeze blowing on them to eat and chat about their relationships. So all of them rehashed what we've already heard them say, but Stasia's share stood out to me. Stacia kind of confronted Nate about not having emotional relationship experience and accused him of not trusting what she says. And she gave the example of their argument about her wanting to have fun after they have kids. Now, he argued that it wasn't possible, but as soon as his dad said it's possible, he was like, okay, great. He has the experience, so it must be a fact. I noticed that too, but I think Stacia needs to chill with the criticisms and lift him up a little bit if she's really planning to say yes on decision day and wants him to say yes as well. Like, all of their problems are not going to be solved a day or two before decision day. So throwing them all in his face at once just makes them both nervous and on edge. Lindy met with her sister, and Miguel was the only person we didn't see chat with anybody. So we learned pretty early on that being distracted and interrupting folks while talking is a family trait. So while Lindy is video chatting with her sister, the sister's eyes keep darting to the side because she's distracted and kind of giggly by something happening in the room she's in. She eventually says something to the person in the room, then said, oh, sorry, distracted. And Lindy said, don't do that in front of Miguel because he gets mad when I get distracted when he's talking. So she and her sister bonded on having the attention span of a gnat because they are constantly distracted, as if everyone is like this. No, it's an annoying trait. I gotta give this one to Miguel. So she talks about how he shuts down and stonewalls her when he gets upset. And the sister said that she didn't have any advice, but then got emotional because she's going through a lot in her household. So she's telling Lindy she needs to understand in those moments who needs the most care. Sometimes you have to put your moment aside and tend to the other person, which was actually really great advice. By the end of the conversation, Lindy and her sister were both crying. Looks like Lindy is trying to steal the nickname Weeping Willow from Justin. The last few episodes, she's cried like 90 times, and we've barely seen a drop out of his eyes. He didn't even cry that much when he let Maya go. Watch out, Weeping Willow. Lindy's gunning for your nickname. Anyway, Lindy and Miguel had lunch at a winery, and Miguel said he's happy that they're there because he ruined their last winery visit, referring to the retreat. But they both ruined that experience. Lindy was constantly interrupting him, and his reactions were a little too harsh. So he apologized for that weekend and wishes he would have reacted differently. Then he said, I'm not sure if I can be strong like you want me to be when you need me to put you in your place or going off the rails. No, she needs to not go off the rails. How about that? So she said she doesn't need to be managed. She just needs him to step up when she's low. So he said that he can get overwhelmed by her strong personality and her theatrics, that it catches him off guard. Now, that's not something she can or will ever change easily. Asking someone who is naturally dramatic not to be that way is like asking an introvert to be an extrovert. Like, some things are just natural traits. I think they both need to learn how to react to certain parts of each other's personality traits that they are not used to dealing with. Like, maybe some couples therapy will help them out in the long run, because we know an expert won't. In the end, all of the husbands moved out of the apartment so everyone can have a final day alone to think about decision day, which is the following day. So when Nate left, Stacia fell to the floor, like super upset. It's too bad they had to leave on such a bad note. I often wonder how many couples chat on the phone or text that final night. I bet Stacia and Nate will have a phone call or two so they can come to some understanding before they hit the decision day couch. Speaking of decision day, which looks like it's going to be outdoors this time, it's finally coming. Woo! It feels like this season started a year and a half ago, but it actually has been a long stretch. Season 15 premiered June 22nd, 2022. It's been 4 months and we still have 2 decision day episodes, Reunion, and Where Are They Now still to go. Bye for now. I'll see you in the next video.